Liv Moods back with another episode of Let Me Liv, and we have lots of basketball to discuss, so let's jump right on into it. First, let me open with this question. If the Boston Celtics win it all this year, will an asterisk be attached? Let me explain. 2020 bubble. When the Lakers won the championship, everybody wanted to say it didn't count, it's not the same, it was in the bubble. They basically just wanted to take away from what the Lakers were able to do that year. Now, before you say, well, this isn't the bubble, this is the normal season, why would there be an asterisk involved? Well, every team that the Celtics have played thus far has had an injury to their roster, and not a small injury, not to a bench player, not to a sixth man. No, I'm talking to a star player. The Heat without Jimmy Butler, the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell, and the Pacers without Tyrese Halliburton. This Celtics team has had a cakewalk to cruise through the Eastern Conference. Now, I don't want to completely take away their thunder and steal their shine, because even in the regular season, they were dominating. Best record in the NBA. It's felt like a cakewalk for the Celtics team altogether, which some may say this is finally the pieces working together. They've had the talent on the roster. They've been able to do it before. They just choke in the playoffs. Now they're in the perfect spot to make it happen. So, is that what we're seeing with the Celtics team? Is it finally clicking? Is it finally clicking? It just might be, but I can already tell there's going to be conversations about this Celtics team when it's all said and done, if they do win it all. Another devil's advocate, they are without KP. Porzingis is a very crucial part to this team, piece to this puzzle, and he's been out. So they've been able to do what they needed to do, and who knows? But the Celtics definitely seem to be the strongest team in the Eastern Conference right now. And as for the West, we're just getting very entertaining basketball. Like, chef's kiss. As a Nuggets fan, even the Timberwolves-Nuggets series obviously didn't end how I wanted it to end, but very entertaining basketball. And Mavs versus Timberwolves has been a cinematic masterpiece. And I want to talk a little bit more specifically about that series, and not just that series, but about the Mavericks, who have been a pleasant surprise for me as a Western Conference fan. Luka Doncic. I think I can start by saying it's become very, very clear that nobody really Fs with Rudy Gobert. I personally didn't F with him after he coughed on the mics and acted like a douche during the pandemic. But it seems nobody really Fs with this man. If you haven't seen it, Draymond Green is having the time of his life trolling Rudy Gobert. I have never seen somebody smile bigger when a team that has a player that a person doesn't like on it is losing. I mean, Draymond looked like a kid on Christmas morning, smiling, watching Rudy lose. Better than that, Rudy wasn't just losing. He had Luka Doncic in his face, in his ear, saying, "Go home, biatch." Mind you, Luka is cooking right now. And I want to actually provide a little bit of a hot take with Luka. Before I jump into his stats, actually, we can jump into his stats first and foremost. Here's what I have to tell you about Luka. He has more first-team All-NBA selections than Steph Curry, who has 4, Nikola Jokic, who has 4, Dirk, who has 4, Chris Paul, who has 4, Bill Russell, who has 3, Russell Westbrook, who has 2, Kawhi Leonard, who has 3, AI, who has 3, Dwayne Wade, who has 2. I just named a lot of very notable, all-time great players just now. Luka has more first-team All-NBA selections than every player I just listed. He has 5. So my question to you is, why have we not spoken about Luka as an MVP more seriously? Why haven't we taken Luka a little bit more seriously and considered him for an MVP award? Now, for years and years and years, we have been talking about the MVP award as a popularity contest, and it really does feel that way. So my hot take with Luka is Kyrie Irving was the best thing to happen to Luka Doncic. Not because the Mavs are now in the Western Conference Finals and there's finally that chemistry. They're finally able to take their talent and do something with it. That's not why. But it's because now we're finally getting eyeballs on Luka. Luka has been this guy. He's been this good. But he's been on a team that people don't really care about. Now, Kyrie joins the Mavs. All of a sudden, you've got some different eyeballs watching this Mavericks team. Because they want to watch the best ball handler in the league in Kyrie. But in watching Kyrie, you're able to see, damn, that white boy can ball. For real. And he's been balling, but now we're finally getting some attention on it. So Luka hasn't been in conversation really, seriously, for an MVP. Yet he's got more first-team All-NBA selections than some of the greats that we talk about over and over and over. So, yeah, I do think that Kyrie was the best thing that could happen to Luka Doncic, and not because they're finally winning games and making a deep playoff run, but because people are finally paying attention to the Mavericks, therefore watching Luka Doncic, therefore realizing, holy cow, this white boy can ball. He's been balling. We just haven't had the attention on it in the way that we do now. Luka is cooking. He is cooking. He's on fire, okay? And as a Nuggets fan, I got to tell you, I know we talked last week about if a team eliminates your team, do you root for or against that team? And I said for because, hell, if you're going to eliminate my team, I hope you go all the way. But I got to tell you, watching Luka cook against this Timberwolves team and then watching him talk trash and back it up, ooh. Luka in his villain era is chef's kiss. And Luka actually has always been a trash talker, but now he's trash talking for a ring. It's different. It's different. And he's talking and he's backing it up, and he's got this Timberwolves team looking like little boys right about now. Subject to change, but right now, wow. Yeah, Luka's really him, and I think that it's important that we finally have some media attention on this guy. If you're a true basketball watcher, you've been watching Luka. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, oh my gosh, nobody knows who Luka is. No, many people know who Luka is. But my point is, he's got that special media attention now that may finally open up the MVP conversations that he's been deserving of for quite some time. Him not having an MVP, but having more first-team All-NBA selections than some of the greats is crazy. And he really hasn't even been, close to an MVP. Yes, you could argue, I think a lot of people felt like last year, even this year, he deserved an MVP. But in terms of voting, it wasn't close. Jokic and Embiid have been neck and neck for a while. Jokic, the 2 seasons before that, pretty much ran with it. This year, it was more about Jokic and SGA than it was Luka. So I'm interested to see what this playoff run will do for Luka, how the media will speak about him differently, how MVP voters may vote differently. And we're going to have some serious conversations about Luka if he wins a ring this year. I'm just saying. Because he is nasty. Luka is nasty. So we have some basketball that's going to be continuing throughout the week. I am so excited. And it feels so good to not have to worry about my team in the playoffs. I can just watch some good basketball. And one more thing before I go. Speaking of basketball, I got to give a little credit where it's due. I'm going to be very hard on people because I would hope they'd be that way for me. But I want to give a little credit to Angel Reese. She got fouled, nasty foul, and had a very mature response at the end of the game. Now, could that response have been her PR team saying, you're kind of taking some heat right now for your deleted tweet? First of all, Angel Reese has always stood on business. So a tweet being deleted? Question mark. PR team might have said, yeah, let's not do that. the shade you were throwing at Charles Barkley actually looked like shade at Caitlin Clark, who is pretty much the, whether we like it or not, face of the WNBA right now. So let's maybe delete that. But in deleting that, it looks like you didn't stand on business. Okay. So maybe her post-game response was her kind of treading a little lightly, not trying to get anyone angry, whatever. But she had a very classy, poised response, very mature. Could it still have been a dig at Caitlin Clark? Yeah, maybe. She said we shouldn't be treated differently because we're rookies. Maybe that was a jab. Who knows? But I was very pleasantly surprised with her response. She showed a lot of maturity in that response because I think at the end of the day, LSU as a whole, collectively, they always said a lot of clickbaity things. You know, they said a lot of things with their chest, but it wasn't, you know, they had that energy about them. That's why we loved to watch them so much. But this to me felt very just, she wasn't doing anything extra. She just said, I don't expect anyone to treat me differently. She was playing tough. I like that. I respect that. So I respect you, Angel Reese, for that, because that was a response that I honestly was surprised to hear from you. So shout out to you. We love basketball. Lots more to come from myself, Liv Moods. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Let Me Live. We'll see you soon.